Pedophiles, rapists and other serious sex offenders in New South Wales will now need to wear electronic tracking devices while on parole. The New South Wales government change comes into effect today after recent outrage that a young girl was allegedly attacked by a man who was released from prison last year. Along with it is a new one-strike policy where if any sex or violent offender breaches the terms of their release, they'll automatically be reported to the State Parole Authority. State Opposition Leader Michael Daly says the whole parole system is failing.
Look, I've been calling on the Premier to do a number of things over the last few weeks. The first one, of course, is to sack her Corrections and Justice Minister, David Elliott, who's presided over systematic failures in his portfolio for a number of years now. But more importantly, I think, than that, is for the Premier to call right now a full, open and transparent public inquiry into the parole system. That would give us a great insight into the failures of the system, because you have to say these are not just isolated incidents. There has been a failure of the parole system that have been highlighted by some very stark cases over the last few weeks.
A police investigation is underway currently. Should we be waiting for the results of that?
Well, what has happened in that case is that the government didn't wait for the investigation. They blamed a single police officer and threw that officer under the bus, which was unfair. It was a political fix, just like this announcement today about monitoring offenders with tags has more than a bit of political band-aid about it. The incidents of the past few weeks have shown that there have been systematic failures. So firstly, we had a fellow out on parole. The question that a lot of people in the community wanted to know was, how did he get out in the first place? But he was out. What we knew from his case when it appeared in court, Anthony Sampieri, was that evidence was tendered before the court that when he took ice, he went on sex binges. Now, he's out on parole. He told his parole officer that he was taking ice, and they left him on the street. Then we had an incident where a number of women were complaining to police that he was harassing them, calling them at home. They wanted to find out who he was so they could put a face to the voice, and they said the police wouldn't tell them because of privacy reasons. And they made the very serious accusation that they thought the justice system was not protecting them, it was protecting the perpetrator. And then we had another situation where we had a sex offender in jail using a phone to call his 14-year-old victim from inside the prison. Now, none of those things would have been improved by ankle tracking devices, but that's the band-aid solution that the government has come up with today, and it's not enough.
Now, you're already campaigning for even tighter restrictions for parolees, but you're also calling for an inquiry into the parole system. So take us through the restrictions you'd like to see before we know the results of any inquiry into the system overall.
Well, I don't want to preempt the results of any inquiry. I just want to have the inquiry. If the Premier won't call the inquiry, then I've made a promise, a solemn promise, that the first thing I do, the very first thing I do, if I'm elected as Premier in March of next year, is to hold such an inquiry. Look, I've been the Minister for Police, and I've worked with these characters. I've got 4 children. I trust the work the police do in the community when it comes to looking after some of these.
And so does this mean that we can expect to see a strong law and order campaign from you in the run-up to March?
Oh no, I wouldn't say that at all. A law and order campaign in the past has been a cheap and nasty sales pitch for votes when all other policies have failed. I don't want a law and order campaign whatsoever, and I don't think we'll have one in New South Wales.
New South Wales Opposition Leader Michael Daly.